Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled The Ole Miss Butterfly Effect: How One Hire Rewired the SEC and the Sport. What if I told you one coaching hire that didn't happen quietly rewired the SEC, broke blue bloods, forced Nick Saban to evolve, and shaped the entire playoff and NIL era? Because in this universe, Ole Miss dodges disaster and college football is never the same. This isn't a dynasty story, it's a gravity story. Part 1, 1994, the hire that never happened. In 1994, Ole Miss is standing at a crossroads. In the real world, this is where stagnation lives. In this world, Ole Miss pauses. They don't hire Joe Lee Dunn. Instead, chaos is outsourced. And the disaster lands on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas sells it as toughness. What they get is rigidity. Arkansas's lost decade, 1994 to 2000. Arkansas's defense becomes predictable, slow to adapt, and way too easy to scheme against. They don't collapse immediately, they rot quietly. By the late 1990s, Arkansas is bowl eligible but irrelevant. The SEC West loses balance. Ole Miss and LSU, well, they circle Arkansas as a get-right game. The Joe Lee era becomes shorthand for one thing: choosing comfort over clarity. Part 2, Ole Miss goes the other way. Ole Miss doesn't choose safety, they choose ideas. They make a bold hire, Mike Leach, that gives offensive autonomy, schematic freedom, and cultural trust. And suddenly, Ole Miss becomes different. By the late 90s, Mississippi skill players stay home. SEC defenses do not like preparing for them. Ole Miss stops being cautious and starts being dangerous. Ole Miss doesn't dominate, they disrupt. Part 3, the SEC response, 2000 to 2008. By the early 2000s, the SEC splits into philosophies. On one side, Ole Miss, chaos, tempo, stress. On the other, you have LSU, power plus adaptability. And watching both very closely, Alabama. Alabama panics and overcorrects. Alabama doesn't want to copy Ole Miss. They want to be immune to Ole Miss. By the mid-2000s, Alabama decides we need control, total control. Enter Nick Saban. But here's the key difference in this universe. Saban isn't reacting to chaos abstractly. He's reacting to Ole Miss specifically. Part 4, 2009 to 2013. Control versus chaos. From 2009 on, the SEC has two poles. Alabama, closed systems, redundancy everywhere, variance eliminated. Ole Miss, open systems, weekly reinvention, matchup stress. Alabama wins more games. Ole Miss makes everyone uncomfortable. Every Alabama win over Ole Miss feels like work. Every Ole Miss loss still damages someone's title hopes. Ole Miss becomes the sport's giant constrainer. Part 5, the first blue blood collapse. Watching all this, Texas decides to modernize. But Texas doesn't modernize with structure. They modernize with ideas, and way too many of them. Between 2009 and 2013, their identity resets constantly. Boosters chase trends. Schemes outpace culture. Texas looks advanced. They play fragile. By 2013, the verdict is brutal. Texas doesn't know who it is. They become the first blue blood broken not by stagnation, but by over-modernization. Part 6, Copycats and Collapse, 2014 to 2020. The playoff era arrives. Ole Miss becomes a resume wrecker, beats contenders, forces committee chaos, reshapes game control language. Everyone tries to copy them. One program breaks very badly doing it. That program, Oregon. Oregon copies tempo, aesthetics, and freedom, but skips guardrails, continuity, and weekly discipline. They look modern, but they fold under pressure. Ole Miss influence didn't break Oregon, misunderstanding it did. Part 7: Who learns the right lesson? One blue blood gets it right. They don't copy chaos, they copy flexibility inside structure. That program is Georgia. Georgia fuses Alabama's discipline, Ole Miss's adaptability, Ohio State level recruiting scale. They don't chase NIL headlines. They accumulate leverage. By the early 2020s, Georgia becomes the first true NIL era dynasty not named Alabama. Part 8: NIL goes live, 2021 to 2023. When NIL arrives, most programs panic. Ole Miss doesn't. They've been building player platforms for decades. They don't win with raw money, they win with fit, visibility, and role clarity. Ole Miss becomes a portal power without becoming unstable. Meanwhile, the program that tries to outspend Georgia, Texas A&M. By 2024, NIL stratifies locker rooms, portal churn increases, donor fatigue sets in. Texas A&M does not collapse. They become volatile permanently. Part 9: The correction. Super conference gravity kicks in. NIL markets mature. Chaos stops being rare, and Ole Miss evolves again. They stop being the chaos engine. They become the chaos governor. Ole Miss's long-term ceiling is clear. Not a dynasty, not a blue blood, but a perennial disruptor with legs, a program that knocks giants off course, survives corrections, and never loses identity. Ole Miss never becomes Alabama, but they do something just as powerful. They decide who panics, who adapts, who survives, and who breaks, all because of one hire they did not make. If you enjoyed this universe, like, subscribe, and comment which program you want to drop into the chaos next. Because in college football, sometimes history doesn't turn on championships, sometimes it turns on who you choose not to hire.